The biggest loser on a long list from the weekend was North Melbourne. It's getting harder and harder to mount the case that the Kangas are on the improve.
That is an old-fashioned flogging, every sense of the word, Nathan Buckley.
That it was.
I know you never want to be embarrassed. Those losses really set you back mentally. It's tough to pick a team up when you have that loss.
Winning becomes a habit, and if you continue to lose, it starts to become a part of your DNA.
It was a training drill. So if the system's too complicated, then you've got to strip it back. But this has been 3 years now of the system that Alastair Clarkson wants to implement with his team, and it's not getting better. So clearly there's a breakdown somewhere. And they've got some serious soul-searching to do.
We're shooting ourselves in the foot a lot of the time. I think it's been a bit of a trend as of late. Some of our easy skill errors to turnovers that result in them getting goals out the back, and they're just so demoralising. It kills you as a team.
I'd love to ask Alastair Clarkson, what are you trying to achieve? Show us what it should look like.
Overall, I can't see it improving. So they've got to ask themselves, is it the right system? And if it's not, is the message getting through to the playing group? What do they value as a club?
Now, Penny, for his thoughts, his true thoughts. Is he able to do what he once thought he could do with this group? Are there any doubts there?
Right now, those sides down the bottom need to be competitive to then take that attitude into pre-season to then improve, hopefully, next season. That type of loss can damage that.
Clarkson's 56th game in charge. It's the third season. The first was hopelessly compromised, as we have talked about previously. But the trajectory, you want to be able to see the signs, and Saturday night was, frankly, about as bad as it's been.
Yeah, can't argue with any of that, all that commentary. There is hard to argue. And Alastair Clarkson would be asking himself those questions. His great strength is his capacity to work harder than anyone else over the journey. He's been the hardest worker. He's been the more innovative coach, most innovative coach of the modern era. And I'm not talking about the last 3 years when he went through his successful period at Hawthorn. They changed the way footy was played. And now he's into the next chapter of his coaching life, which is probably his last chapter. I don't think, well, maybe he coaches beyond here. I doubt it. So what we've got to assess, which is hard, is to try and pass judgment on one of the all-timers. And it's happened before. It's Malthouse, it's Pagan, it's these great coaches who owned their eras and got premiership success on the back of them, who then went to, for different reasons, to different clubs and, clubs down towards the bottom like this side, and their capacity to impact there wasn't what it was, understandably. And that's where we find this modern day great. Is, jury out. We'd like to say, no, we can see it. The losses aren't as bad as they have been, but the losses on the weekend. By the way, Geelong can do this to teams. No Sherry, no Larky doesn't help. I'm not making excuses. I get all the questions and they are to be answered. But he's a stubborn little man. I shouldn't say little. He's a stubborn man, and he'll dig in. And I think it was Kingy who asked, has he still got the faith in himself? Well, I would suggest he has. But he's got to prove that, and his club's got to prove it.
So there's sort of two questions that they're still stuck on. One is method. We are not seeing it. I do think they suffer by comparison with Richmond on that front. You can see what they are building and how they want to play, and then they're going to start to get second-guessed on their recruiting while careers are blossoming elsewhere, players that they overlooked and what they have gathered together. And this is the doom loop. If you don't get out of it, it repeats on you over and over. And they are in about the third spin cycle of this, and they would have desperately hoped that at the end of 2025, it would have been, you can see what's about to happen. Now, whether it takes another year or two or three, we're not going to exit this year with that surety as you can see what's about to happen.
Not the surety. There's been glimpses, and whether or not that's enough to sustain the faithful remains to be seen. But he won't give up on it. I'm pretty certain of that.
Well, you speak about opportunity, and that is exactly what North Melbourne had on the weekend against Geelong, to play against a very good side and put up a good performance, and we got the complete opposite. We got a team that got beat by 100 points. The first team, I know it happened about half an hour later, another team was beat close to 100, but the first team to get beat by 100, and the Roos were absolutely smacked at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, their pressure was actually pretty good, but in the end, they
would want to be. They didn't have the ball.
Well, They did, Jack. And have a look at this. This is what happened all night. What we actually saw was Geelong being able to pressure the ball out of North Melbourne's hands. So if we stop at about here, there's 6 or 7 like North Melbourne players and about 4 Cats. But that handball was a hospital handball. Then a fumble when you're out there to Dersma, but then you got a third crack at it and you miss that handball again. And all of a sudden, the Cats are just on the loose ball. They go from the inside to the outside with 2 clean disposals and find a forward target. So North still had plenty of opportunities, but they could not handle that little circle and put each other in time and space. And that is a basic of the game. If you can't do that, well, you can't move the ball. If you can't move the ball, you can't win. So that's what we saw for 4 quarters.
Do you think that work rate's good enough from North Melbourne? I know you highlight the numbers, but every single one of those players is offensive side.
Well,
is that just like that? Are they 10 metres away from just getting back and actually doing the real defensive running to get back and get behind the ball? There's 3 Geelong players free ahead of the ball.
So there's 2. There's the ball. There's the person who actually owns the ball who needs potential options. Now, Logue had a couple of cracks there to find a better option, couldn't do it. But his teammates could have helped him by giving him a few more. But to be honest, I would be sitting off the ball thinking that's definitely going to that player and then I'm the next one and then I'm out. And reading that play is something the Cats and the good teams do really well from the inside to out, and North are struggling with it. We did on the weekend.
We're 3 years into the Alastair Clarkson reign at North Melbourne. Have we seen any improvement or enough improvement, or where does it sit under Clarko?
The short answer is no, and it's not a humorous conversation because I think North Melbourne supporters, and you hear Kingy speak about this all the time, you do need to see green shoots. You do need to see a mode in which they play. And there was probably a period this year that we could see, when they went over to the West and they started to play some AK football. That's their identity. Now, the challenge with young side is to always, as the season progresses, to not fatigue and not going back into skill execution areas, which forces you to play a messy game. You take a big risk when you get, a premiership coach down who's on a lot of money, and it might neglect other parts of your program. But listening to Alastair speak, they seem to understand where they're at. We can't see it. I think their acquisitions in terms of the senior players probably haven't added as much or what they would have hoped for.
If they think they know where they're at, they probably would have forecast ahead to go, this is where we're going to be. Why would they trade their first round pick, which is looking like pick 3, maybe pick 2 this year? There's a big game against Richmond that will decide where their pick lands. They've traded that away to the Tigers for a late first rounder, early second last year.
That doesn't make sense. And I know Clarko referenced the Luke Bruce one at Hawthorn, which was a rookie pick, so you don't give up much there.
And at Hawthorn,
they've given away. To win that game late 2 years ago, to not get Harley Reid looks like a silly decision as well. So there's probably things that have gone on, a couple of decisions that have really hampered their improvement. But I still think the acquisitions in terms of the senior players haven't helped as much as they would have thought.
The thing you want to go to the footy as a supporter is you need his hope, don't you? So St Kilda supporters walk away last night with hope because they see Nas. You walk in as a North Melbourne supporter and you just go, where's the hope? Wardlaw definitely stands out, but he's got concussion issues. I know Sheasel and McKercher have been there, but they just lack a bit of that for me at the moment. So it's certainly going to be a challenging 12 months.
Especially late in the season, isn't it? Like how much does winning late in the season, 1, give the fans hope, but 2, give the players positive energy coming towards the
Well, they do
pre-season.
have a chance to do that round 23. They play Richmond at Blunston Arena.